All right, welcome back to Wake Up America. Well, many Americans this morning are waking up still trying to unpack the president's bombshell announcement about Tylenol and pregnant women.
Yes, the administration saying research has led them to believe there is a possible link between expectant mothers who take Tylenol during their pregnancy and babies who are then born with autism. So joining us now for more, Georgia Congressman and Dr. Rich McCormick. Thanks for joining us this morning. So just want to get your thoughts on this huge announcement. What do you think it means for parents moving forward, as we still have a lot of questions about all of this?
Well, when you have research, remember there's a lot of confounding factors. Tylenol's been around for a long time in medicine. We use it usually as an antipyretic. In other words, something to treat fever. Not so much pain, but fever. When you do that, that means that you actually have to deal with the fact that some mothers are sick from something. That's what's causing their fever. Maybe that's the cause of autism. I don't know that we haven't used Tylenol during this metamorphosis of awareness of autism. The question is also, are we just having better reporting of signs and symptoms of autism, and now we diagnose it more often? So there's a lot of confounding factors that make lead us to the wrong conclusions. We have to be very careful, because if we don't treat fever with Tylenol, and we can't use NSAIDs such as Motrin or Aleve, different other medications for fever, then what are we going to do for women who have fever? Because certainly fever is not good for a person, especially when they're pregnant. So we have a lot of questions to be answered. I don't want to jump to any conclusions yet.
Yeah, Congressman, as a doctor, I think it's important to point out that these warnings apply to pregnant women, babies. That's what we're talking about here. So do other people really need to think their use of acetaminophen, which is the main ingredient in like Tylenol?
Right. So acetaminophen is basically the no-name brand for Tylenol. We also have stuff that we use for kids once they get past the age of 1. That's basically kind of like Motrin or any kind of what we call NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But the problem is we don't use those when you're pregnant because it can cause some bleeding issues, and we don't use it on infants less than 1 year old for other reasons. But what do you have then? You have to treat the fever because it's troublesome. And matter of fact, I think it's actually 6 months when we start using Motrin, but for kids. But you got to be able to treat the fever, and certainly, once again, we don't have a lot of evidence that's hard, conclusive evidence that this is what the cause of increase of autism is. Same thing with the different vaccinations we have. Certainly, we have too many vaccinations for kids that really aren't useful. So we have to be very careful as we approach this moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, and the makers of Tylenol have put out a statement saying that the science shows that there is no link between acetaminophen and autism. Wanted to point that out, too.
Yeah, lots of research to do still moving forward. I do want to shift gears while we have you here a bit. So lawmakers facing that deadline 1 week from today to pass a funding bill or shut the government down on October 1st. I know Democrats want more health care spending. There's a lot to iron out here. Do you think a deal can be done in time?
When you talk about a deal, no, I don't, because quite frankly, this is a Democratic bill to begin with. The CR is continuation of Nancy Pelosi's spending levels. It's so ironic to me. They have the Freedom Caucus on one saying we're going to do a continued resolution, and the Democrats talking about shutting down the government because of a CR that's from them. This is a crazy time in politics.
Yeah, speaking of the budget, I want to get into the Incentivize Savings Act that you introduced last week to address America's, really unsustainable fiscal trajectory. It's broken beyond repair. I don't even know where you would start to fix this mess, Congressman.
Hey, this is something I'm excited about. This is something that should be nonpartisan. This is something that reinvents the way we approach government spending. I'm a military guy for 30 years. I've been frustrated with at the end of my fiscal year, if I don't spend the money, not only does it go away and somebody else spends it and it still gets spent, but I lose that money for the next year's budget because they say, well, you obviously have too much money. We're not going to give you the same amount. You're going to get less. So I get punished for not spending money. Instead, this bill, which I'm really excited about, says at the end of the year, if you don't spend it, whatever you have left over and you didn't spend, I'm going to reward you. I'm going to give you 49% of that money towards next year's budget. You'll actually get a bigger budget. You can buy that computer system, that computer upgrade, whatever it is, to next year. 49% of your leftover goes back towards debt and deficit, which we have a tremendous problem with. Everybody knows it. And then 2% gives bonuses to people in that department up to 10% of their annual salary. So I give you 3 carrots to save money. Imagine that. For the first time ever in government, I'm going to incentivize you to save money rather than punish you when you don't spend money. It's brilliant. The speaker literally said it sounds too good to be true. I passed past the Cardinals, all the people who actually know this business inside and out. I'm really excited for it. Hopefully it gets massive support and we save a lot of money into the future.
Yeah, it makes so
Common
much
sense.
sense. All right, Congressman Rich McCormick, great to be with you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Well, up next, the federal